So, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and I'm the convener for this presentation. The title of our presentation is Methodologies and Strategies for Sustainable Mental Health.
Recording in progress.
Mind-body approach. Again, my name is Peter Bloomfield, and I'm an emergency physician. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work in academia, and I work in the community as an emergency physician, and I'm also here representing KAILASA Nityananda Hindu University. And we're very excited to give this presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have by Dr. Muktananda, who's an AI expert, is going to give an intro to mental health. Followed by that, I'm going to be giving a talk on studies that have been done on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pandov, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing exercise with Dr. Muktananda. And then he's going to give a lecture called Sustainable Mental Health and AI, talking about how artificial intelligence can support sustainable mental health systems. That'll be followed by Dr. Prema Kothandaraman, who's a urogynecologist at the Women's Health Excellence Center. And she's going to talk about women's mental health issues. Then Dr. Patel, who's a psychiatrist who's representing KAILASA Los Angeles and also practicing in the community, is going to talk about mental health and children's issues. And then finally, I'll give a conclusion and a call to action. And for everyone who is able to stay, we're going to have a kriya, which is a technique for stress reduction. Really, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, enhancing mental health will really help assist in achieving almost all of them. So we feel strongly that the work that we have and what we're bringing forth can help the UN achieve its goals and really bring a lot of positive mental health and well-being globally. So we think it's very perfectly aligned with this summit, and we're extremely grateful to the UN General Assembly for organizing this and for having us here. Just a couple estimates, 2.5 to 5 trillion US dollars annual cost of mental health. That's looking at direct costs of clinical care and hospitalization, as well as indirect costs of lost
field. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session. We wanted to field. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session. We wanted to give a sense of what we mean by mental health. This definition of mental health is taken straight from the UN mental health webpage. Essentially, mental health is a state of well-being where we are able to cope with life. Today is going to focus on the long term, right? So there are three aspects to mental health. One is treating after the problem has happened, but two important parts of it are being preventative and also enhancing mental health. We'll talk about it briefly. Mental health is one of the greatest challenges of our time. Close to 1 billion people are affected worldwide, and this is from 2019. And all of you know that COVID only made this problem much worse. And today's estimates are probably a quarter to a third higher than what we saw in 2019. WHO predicts that half of everyone in the world at some point before they reach the age of 75 will experience mental health issues. And that is a huge number, right? That goes into the billions. And social is, can we manage jobs and relationships? Can we manage the environment around us? To be truly sustainable, which is what this session is about, I think the traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should handle the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about, have an entire session on how to address the mind-body system. Instead of just controlling thoughts, address beliefs. I think transforming our beliefs from life negative cognitions to life positive cognitions. This is so critical. I'll talk a little where we do not have these incompletions. It gives us more freedom, more empowerment in the present moment so that we can reach our full potential in the future. A key part of this is having powerful cognitions, which are deep insights about yourself and the world that help you unlock your true potential by breaking free from limiting patterns. Let's look at this a little bit more in the next slide. So next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming or seeing things while blindfolded using the pineal gland. This actually has been affirmed by research. Scientific research has shown that some people can achieve something like this, which no ordinary person would tell us as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful delve into the mind-body studies.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muktananda. So again, my section is titled Qualitative and Quantitative Studies of a Mind-Body Approach to Mental Health. And we love your questions and welcome them. Please feel free to put them. We're also, time is moving quickly, so we're gonna have to move fast. We have a lot to cover. So this presentation is brought to you by Nityananda Hindu University. I'm representing the research department of Nityananda Hindu University. This is, a being we could talk about all day. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan, this slide. And this offers thousands of free programs online to the global community. There's a large, diverse team. Paramashivam, who is, as per Hinduism, he is an incarnation of Paramashiva, which is the primordial divinity. And starting from birth as a yogi, he has achieved high consciousness and enlightenment and incarnation status. Political leaders, religious leaders, and is a very, very indescribably remarkable figure. And through this talk, I'll be referring to Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, sometimes as Swamiji, which is a way that we refer to him, which is an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So, participants, which you'll see some remarkable findings, and then we're going to talk about what is going on in the mind and brain and consciousness of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, who I also call as Swamiji. And so the Dr. Rao, he drew blood and measured gene expression before and after the program. And they looked at hundreds of different genes being expressed, and they found huge changes in gene expression in multiple pathways. But the ones I'm going to highlight here are the pro-inflammatory pathways, which create inflammation in the system, which will, at the cellular level, be inflammation, but at the system-wide level will show up as stress and disease. Many of these pro-inflammatory pathways were downregulated. And when I say downregulated study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity, and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell genetically young. Many people know about telomeres. It's been very much talked about in the mainstream recently. The telomeres are studied. They said, let's look at telomerase activity, and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell genetic, but it was around that time, they measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967%. It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism. So you would expect that to show up in a massive surge of energy. So when you put together at the cellular level, one is the DASS, which stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale, One is WHO5, which looks at overall sense of well-being. One is SF36, which looks at overall physical health and some aspects of mental health as well. And the last is MAAS, which for the depression score, anything above 10 means depression. 5.7 is the average. For this, the post scores were 2, 2.7, so much, much lower than average and very far from depression. So this is going to show up as a really great state of well-being. And then we looked at anxiety. Above 8 is considered as an anxious person. The average in the US is around 6, so almost anxious. Improvement in people's feeling of mental health in connection with this program. The next we looked at the WHO5 well-being index. So this goes from 0 to 100, where a higher score is a higher sense of well-being. Less than 50 is going to correlate with depression. There's 9 total scores are on physical and mental health. Again, the higher is better. We did just a paired analysis for this, and all of them were improved. 5 out of the 9 met statistical significance, and they were also clinically significant. I just included a couple graphs here. The total score, you can see it's going up for just about everyone, and then social functioning is going up for just about everyone. So again, increased mental and entrainment was happening. So he could completely kind of shut off the mind, and it would show up at the EEG level. That shocked the researcher. And then when he would go into meditation, there would be a huge surge in gamma waves, which we'll talk about shortly, the significance of gamma waves. But the key part is when he was healing, his right heart of brain would go into what the researcher called extreme gamma activity, which I think, again, their whole brain of that person would go into a high gamma activity. So we're positing that this is how an EEG of initiation looks. When a being who has attained this state of consciousness, which I'm calling as a super consciousness, this is extremely unusual. It seems as if his brain was changing with hundreds and thousands of nerves in the brain was being rewired. So again, it's a really remarkable thing. One thing that I'd also say is in the ashram, they've done again, when Swamiji is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well, he puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves. You'll notice his illustration doesn't have gamma waves. Part of that is because gamma waves, people didn't even know about them until relatively recently, because you normally cannot see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude, up and down, high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer camera's dementia. And even in animal models, they've showed if they can induce gamma waves, the plaques and tangles that you see at the cellular level of dementia start to get cleaned up. So the idea is that gamma activity can prevent and possibly even treat Alzheimer's dementia. So if we're looking at Alzheimer's prevention, which is a huge global issue, gamma waves, I think, are definitely is our Swamiji can himself go into gamma at will, and he can transmit it to others at will, both through healing and through initiation. That itself is remarkable, and it speaks to the power of the programs and how the mental health of whole communities can be uplifted that way at will. And I've seen a few others that go into a very high beta, almost on the cusp of this, that's extremely atypical for normal beta activity. So I see this as progression in their capacity to reflect this state of consciousness in their spiritual growth. And so they would do this by connecting with Swamiji, connecting to a state of oneness, doing this possibility of really powerfully enhanced mental health and intense states of bliss and higher consciousness. The yogic science, basically, you'll develop good mental health on the road to enlightenment, is how the yogic science works. Lifestyle, sattvic diet, and fasting. Later, another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs. Puja is a ritual. We're going to have a beautiful unclutching meditation with Sri Mukta.
Thank you, Dr. Peter. What I wanted to say here is that Dr. Bloomfield talked so much about the state of space where let's watch this video briefly. Go ahead, please play. Audio is not it's not audible, Peter.
thinking process in you. That's it. Do not create, sustain, maintain, fight with, try to destroy, any way impaired. To the unclutching process. In the initial level, you may be a little. That is pure unclutching. Pure unclutching. Sit straight.
Your stress levels down. So I would really advise you to I'm going to give you a few minutes, play some meditation music. Essentially, when he says disengage from all thought processes, one technique I use is I use the word unclutch itself. Like when I observe I close my eyes, observe my thoughts. When any thought arises, I just so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates problem. So if you unclutch from each thought as they appear, then you don't associate them, and then they just become random seeds. Peter, we're not able to hear the music.
It's playing here. It's just flute-like. You hear that?
Yeah. Do you want to share?
You able to hear it? Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
No.
You able to hear it now?
Yes.
Unclutch from your thoughts. Close your eyes, unclutch from your thoughts. There's no specific time or place where you should do this. You can do it anytime. With that, I'll invite Dr. Arang K. and Dr. Sandeep and Dr. Nirmala to take us on to the next session. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Aran K. I'm a practicing neurologist in the U.S. In Augusta, Georgia. I will be sharing a little bit about findings on neuroscience and depression as well. And we have seen that yoga and meditation has a positive effect, but recently we're able to actually look at the brain structure itself and brain functioning and how it, again, we're highlighting how just lifestyle measures which cost very little to nothing, such as yoga, meditation, and diet, can make a huge impact. And it could reduce the costs associated with current treatment model based on medications, therapy, which is expensive, medications have side effects. And so we can go on to the next slide. So many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy in the cingulate cortex. And even our ability to empathize with others are affected due to loss of brain cells in the cingulate cortex. Also, depression negatively impacts the basal ganglia, which is a part of the brain involved in pathways for reward, motivation, and feeling pleasure. And so we can go on to the next slide. So not only is the gray matter or the brain cells, are they affected in depression, but also very importantly, the white matter system is affected. The white matter is very important in, this is how different areas of brain communicate. And you can see here frontal gyrus. This is an area responsible, executive functioning, so in other words, planning activities, social cognition, which lead us to interact well with others. The precentral and parahippocampal gyrus and hippocampus are very important for memory and handling your stress. These are enhanced in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for disorders. And in fact, this area, interestingly, it ends up being a little bit reduced in volume, telling us that maybe yoga practitioners have lower levels of fear or tendency for fear. And we can move on to the next slide. Now we can move on to what we found in practitioners of meditation. So they have been studied structurally, but also functionally. So we have functional MRI studies which look more than the brain structure. It looks at to release beta endorphins. Maybe you've heard about endorphins. These are chemicals which give us the sense of a euphoria or bliss, and may explain why many practitioners of meditation experience a sense of bliss during their meditation. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons, and it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions. Decision-making, learning, memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within us and our environment, and as well as having self-awareness about fear and anxiety. Meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin, and it in fact further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety, and they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well through a 12-week program of yoga. And they measured their amount of anxiety and depression before, after. And looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety.
And then we'll discuss these slides quickly, and then we'll have a very short video and short discussion to follow. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Hi, this is Dr. Pandav. I practice in the US near Baltimore. And thank you, Dr. Shachi, for healthy gut microbiome. So before we talk about that, we should know what gut-brain axis is. So basically, the brain is connected to the gut. This is neurochemicals like serotonin. So these send signal via the vagus nerve to the brain. so reducing the anxiety and depression. So this is one impact. And the second impact it does is that it improves the bowel movements. So basically what it does is, since it is high in fiber, so people get relief from constipation. Are we waiting for the video?
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay, yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole food plant-based diet reduces inflammation, antioxidants, phytochemical, and promotes a balanced neurotransmitter system. Elimination of animal foods reduce inflammation, carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables were...
They are not going to say, let the whole world be blissful and die. No. They leave so much of suffering.
Okay, now we'll have a very quick summary and very brief discussion about some of these lifestyle choices that support healthy gut biome and improve mental health.
So in summary, we've seen that the brain physiology through functioning, structure, chemistry, and gut health. In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the reviving and promoting. And he's unique in promoting some of these lifestyles, such as Nirahar. And now to also Dr. Bandav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. Maybe we'd like to go ahead and start. Maybe Dr. Bandav can talk about what is Nirahar Samyama and how his experience that he's had with that.
Sure. I always practice whole food plant-based diet, but through Swamiji, I came to know about Nirahar Samyama, which is really a step above that. So essentially, and I found this to be amazingly powerful technique. I think, Dr. Shachi, you may have also gone through this, and you can add further.
Yes, yes, definitely. I have done the Nirahar Samyama a few times, and this was something that's completely new to me. I think only Swamiji talks about this. I had, been practicing different Hindu spiritual practices and lifestyle measures. Yes, very much. So I wished I had. I really didn't know about any of this before Swamiji. So
I think Dr. Shivaji had an experience that she maybe would like to share about Nirahar Samyama.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Shivaji, did you have an experience you wanted to share?
I think you're muted, Ma. Dr. Shivaji, you're muted.
Sorry. So sorry about it. So it's other than the other benefits of what you have said, mental clarity, and you're more happier and more lighter and all that. What happened was I used to get every summer allergic reactions. So when I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, are we going to talk about Aushadha?
Jump in, Ma. Dr. Shivaji, thank you so much for sharing that. I know there's so much more to talk about. We're going to talk about Aushadhas, Harataki, a very powerful detox herb that Swamiji has recommended.
Are we going to talk about Aushadha?
Jump in, Ma. Dr. Shivaji,
in mental health, in physical and mental health. And part of changing lifestyle is not only practicing yoga, and unfortunately, we're not going to be practicing any of the yoga asanas today because it's difficult to demonstrate in this particular venue. But we can try a couple of pranayama techniques that can work for you. And these are simple techniques that can cool us down, make us reduce the anxiety, de-stress us. And so I'm going to teach you a couple of pranayama techniques which will be actually useful later when we go further in this program. So simple technique is called Shitali Pranayama, and references are given here. These are all scriptural references. You can search for them online. You can actually find them. Shitali pranayama is a technique to really cool down and de-stress. The deeper you do the inhalation, the deeper the cooling happens. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, like try breathing in a little bit more deeper. Continue doing this. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off by holding your thumb, pressing your right nostril with your thumb, and then breathing in through only your left nostril. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out like till the count of 6 or 7. That's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. And intensely, without stopping, like as long as possible, just hum. And then when your humming stops, take a quick breath, let the natural breath happen, and then start the humming again. So for example, it sounds like this. Now, while you're doing this, for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them. And that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head. And very soon this humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all revived by Swamiji. Swamiji has taken all these ancient techniques and then put them in modern contexts. In fact, search for these techniques along with Swamiji's name. You will see a whole bunch of what are called kriyas, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. Wait till then to hear a little bit more, but you can sources. And it's like the people who are in poverty, the people who really who suffer more often from mental health issues, that like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access mental health access to people. Let's go to the next slide. Today's AI is actually super powerful. It can be very conversational in asking questions and getting answers. And it can be very personal. It can be personalized without storing personal information. And if you have availability, like access to a phone, a smartphone, you probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example. Nityananda KAILASA has developed as a scalable solution for people to ask questions and get answers. It's very easy. Go to nityananda.ai, or you can use the barcode that's available on the screen. And it's a great, you have to sign in for you to get access, but it's how my wife will feel, what do I do about it? This AI makes use of the, if you can pause the video here, Peter, just for a second. It uses the core principles that Swamiji is taught in terms of what spiritual principles are for living, like authenticity. Authenticity is living to the highest potential. responsibilities, feeling like everything in and around a message, that it helps you understand that you are a whole and you can't divide yourself into different personalities. Can we press play again? The next question is about, yeah, I'm just highlighting the different areas. The next question about someone saying, my sister and I are grown up. Whenever I ask my sister to spend time with me, I feel disappointed, and she wants to do things that are different from me. What do I do? So this now addresses how to think about this. Yeah, this next section is about asking for yoga and meditation techniques for de-stressing, and it chooses techniques from scriptures and shares them with you. Anyway, that's the quick demo.
The incidence of mental illness among women. 1 in 5 women experience a mental health issue every year. Women are diagnosed with anxiety and depression twice as men. 25.7 assault and emotional abuse. Social pressures and roles. Women often face societal expectations to fulfill multiple roles like caregiver, professional, and homemaker. And body image issues like living in the era of social media on beauty concepts and appearance. It can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization. Depending on the severity of the mental illness, psychotherapy is mainly for the mild problems. It's called a talk therapy or counseling. And medications can be antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications, mood still. Around mental illnesses also prevent people to seek the treatment. So by knowing the different reasons for women's mental illness and also the available treatments are not that effective, let's learn from KAILASA a holistic approach with the second one by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, his presidential address on November 7th, 2021. Very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an ecosystem or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence. Policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra, and Swamiji revived matrilineal society to empower women here. So the political empowerment, Paramashiva declares in Atharva Veda, women should be guided and along with spiritual and psychological support and counseling to all women. So over $10 billion have been invested in women's health at KAILASA. This is very impressive, and again, a spiritual wellness, a core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of KAILASA by Swamiji is the mother worship. The matrilineal society that used to exist in ancient Hindu nations. It's very important to know in KAILASA, women are worshipped and revered and have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment and exploitation. And it creates the most safest environment for women on planet Earth. At social prominence, Swamiji has worked tirelessly for gender equality, now Indigenous women to become again to get financial freedom and emotional support. Pregnancy is a great program where it supports pregnant women for having a painless delivery and a blissful birthing experience. So by looking at all this, empowering women's projects happening in KAILASA is very powerful, and through this there is a proven way to
and next word, awaken. Only the feminine energy, sacred feminine, need to be awakened. You already have too much masculine. The whole world is suffering with too much masculine energy. If at all politics can be handed over to women, so much good would have happened to the human society, human civilization. Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women.
So in summary on women's mental health, yes, women do face unique challenges. It's to be approached at multi-dimensional level. And KAILASA is a model infrastructure, not only empowering women at all levels and bringing the best within them, like leadership, stability, powerfulness, and divinity. And from my personal experience, I have like 14 years of medical education and practicing for 25 years of women care and being there in women during their most sensitive time, pregnancy, delivery, taking care of all age group, very powerful, healthy life. So for all women, mothers, homemakers, anyone, everyone, get empowered with KAILASA ecosystem created by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Paramahamsa Nityananda. And it's a great coincidence that Navaratri festival is coming. It's an annual Hindu festival. We celebrate Divine Mother energy for 9 nights. And there is a short video. Listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all. Thank you.
Listen, tell you. If you sit with mirror and chant Mahavagya and do completion, you will see me in the mirror, then all your patterns are complete. Till you see me in the mirror, do completion with the mirror. Your form will disappear and my form will appear there. Till then, sit in front of mirror and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I am giving to all of you. Chanting Mahavagya. And remember this powerful cognition, today's cognition. Pen down all the incompletions, fears, anger, guilt, impossibility, patterns, which tells you, no, you need to be dependent internally, externally, other than Paramashiva.
Talk about children and mental health issues.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sailesh Patel. I'm a psychiatrist practicing in California. So, as adult and women, children also have unique challenges for mental health. And we have the next slide. So, I have here some of the unique challenges for children, which includes physical, emotional, and social changes, adversities such as poverty, abuse, exposure to violence, pressure to conform with education system, and it can be sustainable development. Can we stay on the previous slide? In Hindu education system, basic tools to awaken knowledge are taught, and for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor skills, development, neurological functioning, and level of whole brain activation. This test is divided in 2 phases. First phase or copy phase, students are first asked to copy 12 images of various complexity. This copy phase reflects the student's visual motor intelligence and maturity. In second phase, recall phase, which is recall phase, students need to remember age, and average intellectual age was 2.7 years ahead of chronological age. 83% of students were 1 to 6 years ahead of actual age, and 53% students were 2 to 6 years ahead. So that's really impressive numbers. So this is small studies, of course, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. And I'm going to very quickly do our conclusion. Thank you so much to everyone who's made it all the way through. We invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research findings, and all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings. And we're very sure the more research we do, the more we're going to find things like this. So anyone who wants to collaborate, we'd love to talk to you. My email and Peter Bloomfield, my email, and Sri Mukta Ananda, his email as well. They're both posted on org. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone to contact us to see how we can bring this to the world to attain and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals and bring
the science of kriyas.
Blood flow, breathing air flow, thought flow. You have something called energy flow continuously happening in you. In this energy circulation, energy flow, if there is an disturbances, disease, disorders, disturbances, expresses itself in different ways.
The human body has 7 circuits: blood circuit, circulatory system, nerve circuit, the nervous system, prana circuit, the respiratory system, digestive circuit, excretory circuit. Reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say, for instance, there is a block somewhere in the circuit of pipelines. Then what happens? There is no flow of water. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in. Energy flow is re-established. Energy starts flowing and the disease is healed.
Now, if your body is put in certain position, that energy blockages get removed to that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the circuit, you are free. These kriyas are not just ordinary asana, ordinary yoga postures, ordinary kumbhaka, ordinary pranayama. It is like two different chemicals separating of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound, it's called mantra. Externally when you listen, it's called chanting. So mantra, internal verbalization.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah. Do we have that in the slide?
This is the last slide, Mukta.
Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide, that'll be great. So you have to sit in a special posture. It is not very difficult. It is, you sit with your knees drawn to your chest, and then you just put your hands around your knees and hug them and pull them closer. That's it, right? So that way you are sitting with your knees drawn in and your heels touching as close to your body as possible. You just have to look ahead. That's the posture. Peter will show the picture. That's the second step. In that posture, you just hum intensely. As your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril, and then breathe in again through your right and breathe out through the left. This is one cycle. Do this cycle for 21 times. Let's start with that. That's the step 1. Step 2 is this picture. Sit like this picture, holding your knees close to your chest, and then do intense humming. That's for 7 minutes. And then finally, we leave you. Open your eyes slowly. You can pause the music, Peter. You can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day. It's very powerful, not only in de-stressing, but also in performing to your life's best. Great. Thank you all. I really appreciate all of you for coming. Peter, I hand it over to you to wrap up.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.